you tweeted this out, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's some evidence, a shred of evidence, that the regime can develop a quarterback. Baker Mayfield's efficiency in 2020 is still his best year. I know he's gone on and become better, but he had terrible wide receivers. Jacoby Brissett, um, you know, played pretty well. Flacco had to go back to 2014 to see the success he had in 2023. Heck, you won games with P.J. Walker and DTR. Um, I guess everything that you get to dysfunction-wise from the Browns because they haven't found a quarterback, and that's the most important position in all of sports.
Right. I think so much of this comes down to the whole Deshaun Watson fiasco. By and large, Kevin Stefanski has been given a lot of credit for how he's handled the quarterback position until Deshaun Watson basically couldn't play dead. Once you get away from that and you just sort of take everything honestly, yeah, you're going to say that Baker Mayfield left, and there's a lot of blame to go on both sides, though Baker Mayfield's quick to point out it was largely Baker Mayfield's fault it went the way it did, even though I think ownership didn't handle the situation well. You got the best out of Jacoby Brissett. That's all you can ask for from Kevin Stefanski. You got a really good play out of Joe Flacco. Yes, he turned over the ball, but that was the most fun most people have had. I didn't include Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston played like you'd expect Jameis Winston to play. But yeah, game-winning drives. There are a lot of people who don't like Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I still like the kid. He had a game-winning drive against Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, this is something we're now taking for granted, where that used to be a huge accomplishment. And then you obviously had P.J. Walker lead the Browns to beat a very, very good 49ers team at home. That was sort of a big change for the 2023 season. That was sort of the early part of that year. They struggled out of the gate out of a really tough schedule. Everybody was terrified of them getting the 49ers in that game, and that really set them in motion. So he puts guys in position to be successful. Quarterbacks are quick to credit. Even Deshaun Watson is very quick to credit Kevin Stefanski for his voice in the headset and giving them notes and sort of telling them when to be aggressive and when these other things. So I don't ever worry necessarily about Kevin Stefanski in terms of his ability to coach and develop quarterbacks. I can go back to his time in Minnesota with Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins has one playoff win. It's with Kevin Stefanski as an offensive coordinator. But they have to do it. I mean, that's the bottom line. They've got to make it work. They've got to find that guy, and they've got to get it going.
Yeah, and I think the big learning thing, the big takeaway from last year is you only know what you know, and they went away from the offense he knew, and man, he had no answers to how to fix that when it went sideways.
Yeah, I mean, look, they trade for Deshaun Watson after Kevin Stefanski makes a sales pitch and everything else, and it just feels like the second he got here, they were completely shocked at who he was, what he was, and then turned over everything to try to make it work with him, and it was awful. And then once you got there, you had no way out during the season. It just I've said this before. I think Deshaun Watson is the biggest energy vampire in sports. He sucked the life out of everything around him, teammates, fan base, coaching staff, and I think that was evident. I believe, we'll see if I'm right, that just not having that on the field will be a net positive for the Browns this year.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that as well.